You good?
Yeah,
Appreciate you for doing this, though.
for sure. My boy Hafit.
I got Darren Edwards, Coach D. I call him Coach D. Darren Edwards, man. Head coach, South St. Paul. I appreciate you, bro.
For sure, man.
You one of like you one of the grown people in my life that I can actually go to and have these kind of like conversations with, and I appreciate you for that, though.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. I know. Like as soon as we got done playing, when I went to high school here, I knew my basketball career playing while I was done, and so I found coaching,
Right.
and that's kind of how I got into that lane. For you, how'd you find coaching?
Man, my brother's rec team, they didn't have no coach, and so he was like 9, I think 9 or 10, and they had no coach for the 10U or the 12U. So I just kind of took the 12U and moved my brother up, and so like that's kind of how it started. I think that was back in 2011, maybe 2010. It was around here about 2010 for sure.
And it felt natural. You just kind of like,
Nah,
this what I want to
it
do,
wasn't
or it took
natural
time.
at first. Like it was just something to do to help my brother out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the first group of kids I ever had, shout out to them Wright Street boys too. Man, we was horrible.
Yeah.
Like we got the concept of basketball, but you know, like they was just kids. So that I wasn't really where I'm at now. So I was just more or less like kind of letting them do whatever, play however they wanted. I had the energy.
Yeah.
Like I've always had the energy, but I just think then I was really just like, man, I'm just here to help my brother out.
So when it hit you, where you was like, I'm gonna do this for some time, because you've been coaching for a little bit now.
Yeah, I think it really hit me. Well, we started the Wright Street Rebels were a team already, and so like we were kind of like the outcasts. Like so they were the kids that the direct teams didn't want. So I started the Wright Street Magic, and I really took that serious, and it grew. And then when I left there, I went to West Minnie, and we changed the team name to Get Buckets. We had the New York Knicks color uniforms. Like it was cool. Like I ain't gonna lie, and then that transitioned into Family First. And
Yeah.
I think once it really transitioned into Family First, like I knew right then and there, like yeah, this is something I'm gonna do for a while. And that took me into high school football, high school basketball, being an assistant, and you know that eventually led me here. So you know it was cool, you know, but I didn't think right away that it was going to take me into the path that it took me to. That's for sure.
I've been coaching kids mainly. You
Right.
got high schoolers, you also do the kids, but for me the kids is they got a lot of respect for me, but there are certain kids, you know, they're kids, so it takes a little bit for them to grasp like respect and understanding.
Yeah.
For you coach so long, how do you feel like there's a such thing as an uncoachable kid? Or do you think it's just that coach cannot get to him?
I think it's a coach for every kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think I think it goes both ways though too. Like uncoachable versus like gaining respect for the coach, gaining respect for the knowledge that the coach has. I think at a younger age it's a little bit harder, just because like everybody's not hungry. A lot of them are doing it just so they can have fun. You know what I mean? I think as you get older, you kind of grasp the concept of like, okay, this could take me somewhere. And then you have the kids who are just playing for fun. I don't think those kids are uncoachable. I just think there's a coach for every kid. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't for every kid. You know what I'm saying? Every kid ain't for me. And like, that's just kind of how it goes. You know what I mean? Like the uncoachable part is, I think there's a big gap of like, uncoachable is like you can't play nowhere. You kicked off every team. You're putting you first. You know what I mean? And I think that's a mentality. I don't think that's something that like you can't grow out of. You know what I mean? But it takes a lot of maturation and respect for your process to really like grow out of that.
So you think so college coaches, if you ask them what's one of the main things they look for, a lot of them, they don't say talent. They say like, we want a kid that's coachable. Do you think that's what they're kind of referring to, is the mentality
They
of
want to
like,
see the mentality. They
yeah,
just want to see your progress. So like we could use Zoe for
mm-hmm,
an example. I think Zoe has always been coachable. Like just
mm-hmm,
having him at sixth grade when he was playing on the eighth grade family first team, like the coaches liked it him more than they liked it the kids on the actual like
mm-hmm,
just because he had the basketball concept and he came from a family background. So, you know, it was like, these is my bros, so I'm gonna put them first. And I think that carried over into high school and now it's carried over to college. That's kind of why you've seen him be able to last so long, is because he understands the concept of this isn't personal. Like I
mm-hmm,
just have to be coachable.
mm-hmm.
So,
And he could flourish in any environment.
yeah,
You know?
anywhere. I think
Yeah,
he'll, you know, I think once it's all said and done, I think he'll go on and play somewhere.
yeah,
You know, if not in the league, he can go overseas. There's a lot of opportunities for him. There's another kid who I had, Antoine Kimmins, at a young age, very talented, but very like
mm-hmm,
rambunctious and like,
mm-hmm,
man, I don't need this. Like, I don't need you. I'm a hooper. I got it. And I had to kick him off the team a few times just to kind of teach him a lesson. And he finally came back in eighth grade and all right, coach, I'm ready. Like, I
mm-hmm,
got you. And from there on, it turned into him playing varsity as early as sophomore. I know he was pulled up at the end of his freshman year just to kind of go through the experience, and then being a 3-year high level varsity guy for an amazing program over there at Tartan. I think it took him, I'd say probably till he was in like 11th grade to kind of realize like, man, this could take me somewhere as long as I respect it and I respect the process.
mm-hmm.
And that's what led to him to committing to Idaho State. And then they had some coaching carousel stuff going on.
There you go. I'll move on though, because I don't want you to try to remember what you was talking about. But
Oh, we was talking about the uncoachable and
yeah,
coachable
yeah, yeah.
kids, and I just think a lot of kids they come off as uncoachable, but once you get to know them, you build a relationship with them. Over time, you kind of start to see that uncoachable, it's not so much a thing. It's more of like the attitude and the approach. And once a
Mm-hmm,
kid figures out his approach and how to become coachable in an aspect of like being a good teammate, you know, helping out around the locker room, helping out in the gym and stuff like that. I think you kind of see the maturation process for kids. And I think once you go through that, that's what helps you become more coachable.
mm-hmm. I think so. So for me, I have kids. When I start coaching them, I
Yeah.
always try to get the kids like respect as a person first
Yeah.
before the coach.
Yeah.
When you're now you coach older people, does that
Yeah.
work for you? Trying to like get to the almost kind of like not friends because I don't want to be friends with them, but like, I want you to like me as a person, so then you can take my coaching back. He's coming from a good place.
I
And
think it's hard to say because if you ask y'all's class
mm-hmm,
who's played for me, they would say I'm too nice now.
mm-hmm,
They would say like I don't push them, like I don't push them as hard as I pushed you guys. But I also think it comes with like the group of kids you have. Like if you have like y'all's class, hardworking class,
mm-hmm,
fought every day. You know what I mean? Stayed after every day, worked hard. So when we came here, me, Coach Matt, and the rest of the crew, we didn't know what to expect.
mm-hmm,
But we knew for sure we had a group of kids that like worked hard
mm-hmm,
and they were like, okay, we got some coaches now that can like coach. Like we got to lock in. And I think with that came, you know, you add a couple transfers to that, and it's no longer, well, we just going over there to get a stat game for South St. Paul. Now you really got to come and play. And I think like with y'all's group, you guys set the precedent so high that now like the kids behind y'all, they don't understand it.
mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? They just reap the benefits of it. You know, like
mm-hmm,
the nice uniforms, travel suits, you know, TV and locker room refrigerators. Like a lot of the stuff we have in here, we didn't have when y'all were here.
mm-hmm.
You know, recently renovated the gym. Um, you know, we've been able to continue and we call it the Coach Matt way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of just like look good, feel good, play good. I just think now the group that I have now, with them having 3 years under their belt, going, and some of them are going to be juniors.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have 4. Like Sincere's been around since he was an 8th grader,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a senior this year. So it's like I think he understands. I think the group now we have understands
Mm-hmm.
that if we don't work hard, like this isn't going to work out. And traditionally, like you back to what it kind of looked like,
Mm-hmm.
with undersized center, heavy guard play. And I just think now, like, they're going to be able to push through. Like, they'll understand that the hard work on the other side of that wall is worth it. I don't think a
Yeah.
lot of groups, even outside of our school, like, understand it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, everybody wants the prowess of being like a D1 player. But do you get up and work as a D1? Do you do schoolwork as a D1? Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you go get up extra shots as a D1? And I just think for most parts, like for me, like I want you to respect me, but I don't want you to fear me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if you play in fear, then you're just gonna be on eggshells. And I think that comes with growth.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to coach from a fearful place.
Mm-hmm.
And you better be scared if you mess up. And
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't understand it till I was head coaching, and one of my assistants was like, "Hey man, like you too hard on him. Like, hey, like I got him." And it kind of allowed me to watch somebody else push a kid who I felt I was pushing as hard as I could, having the high expectations and things like that, only to really find out that, I was kind of hurting them because I didn't listen sometimes. I didn't pay attention to the small things. I just was looking at the his body frame, his athletic ability, and I'm like, you should be able to figure this out.
Yeah.
Not knowing inside, like mentally, he didn't. He had no clue on what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And when he graduated, I had to tell him like, hey man, like, you know, I think your time here, I think it was great, but I also want to apologize to you because I probably was hard on you.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing out of his mouth was, Coach, you weren't hard on me. He's like, I understand why.
Yeah.
He's like, I get it. He's like, I don't think anything you did was too hard. Now I understand what hard work really looks like. So for the end of that, it was cool. But like there was some time where I
Yeah.
kind of felt like, am I being too hard on him? And then
Mm-hmm.
like when he told me I wasn't, it eased the pain a little bit, but it also made me realize that as a coach, like no matter how much you win, no matter how much you lose, like it ain't about the money. It ain't about nothing else but developing kids and making sure that they understand that when you go out here, you can't just be anybody. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have to be focused. You have to be locked in. Like if you're not, short lived, you'll probably end up working a regular job, starting a family, which is cool. But if you have aspirations and you got dreams you want to chase, like time waits for no man. You got to get up and work hard, man. So that's why, like, it was hard to get y'all here in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard, like
Yeah.
super hard. And now, like, we've kind of created the 6 a.m. practices, and kids like it. Some of them do, a lot of them do, but there are the few who will give you the, I'm gonna be late, and it's like,
Yeah.
all right, I get it.
I definitely remember the first year when like the sophomore year when y'all announced that. He's like, yo, see y'all Monday, 6 a.m. We
6
all we
a.m.
all were in the group chat like, come on, man, 6. And then we after school again, and then again. We definitely.
I mean, y'all's group was different though. Like, and honestly, I wish Matt was alive because I think he would echo this. Like, I think that whole staff needed y'all more than y'all needed us
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of us got to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I definitely grew up when I came here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had ran a program on my own and stuff, but it was definitely a maturation process for me working with Matt, working with Ross and Steve and all of those guys, Tony, Adam. Like it was something that I never seen coming, and to go through everything that we went through as a staff, COVID, things like that, to like almost not having basketball, to you know, then we back 20-1,
Mm-hmm.
losing the section championship. only to come back as seniors 28-0, and then we get right there, and it's like
middle of the season lose a coach.
Yeah,
like that's different. That was difficult for a lot of us. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree.
And we kind of just flipped the switch. We didn't like ease into that change. It was like hey, today we learned after school that day. Like we all remember it. Like it was like.
But I got the call. I got the call at 11:30.
Yeah.
And I'm getting ready to go to work, and Matt's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." Yeah. And I'm like, okay, like, what's up? I'm thinking he about to talk practice, and he's just like, "Hey, man, it's your show now." I'm like, what? He's like, Chad's gonna fill you in. He's like, "Hey, man, like, this is just something that it's time. Like, it's your time." And I cried a little bit, honestly, because I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect. The thing that made me comfortable was I already knew all of y'all.
Yeah.
Like, we all had good relationships.
You still ready for that?
I was not ready.
It wasn't ready?
No.
What happened where it flipped, where you felt I'm ready to take this on and be the guy?
It honestly didn't flip for me till after the season, when I had to like set a schedule, set a plan. Like, everything we had for that year was already in place. I just kind of had to follow it. And it was devastating to kind of like step in and like have to like fill his shoes. Like, it was hard, for sure. It was hard on me. It was hard on Adam. It was hard on Rob. I know it was hard on you guys, because he kind of like went into the shadows, and it was like, well, was Coach Matt good? And he was texting me every day, "Hey, bro, you're doing good. Like, just keep working hard." He's like, "You got it. Like, don't let up." He's like, "Keep going. Like, you know what the plan is." And, I'm just every day trying to make him proud. Like, but then I realized, and it was the night of one of the section games. It was the Saturday we played St. Thomas. And he texted me before the game, and I'll never forget it. He's like, "Hey, man, it's hard to beat somebody 3 times, but if anybody can do it, you can." And I'm like, "I bet." "Are you pulling up?" And he was like, "Nah." He's like, "We're going to watch from home." And that to me was like, I think for him, he wanted to be around and just, support the guys and support me. And I think it was really hard for him to like go through that. But even in time, even when he was fighting, like, he was still encouraging me. And like, that was like super hard. You know what I mean? To like once it all kind of came out, like, some of the stuff he was dealing with, it personally, like, it put me in a spot of like vulnerability. You know what I mean? Because I think that with the transition came new leadership. And that year, you guys were seniors, so couldn't nobody really tell y'all nothing. You know what I mean? It was the hottest sport in the school. You undefeated. We was ranked number 1 in the state for the first time in ever. So it's like, it was just so much with that group that just like, y'all all had y'all's own way, y'all's own swag. And I was just like, "Hey, Coach D, can we not do so many loose ball drills? Like, that tires us out." And but when you look back at it, the way we lost that game, loose balls, just the little stuff,
foul trouble,
foul trouble, free throws, like, I even had to assess myself. You know what I mean? And when I asked myself, like, what could I have done better? I just really wish we would have jumped them in the front court. I've never talked to nobody really about that.
Yeah.
Because I really only tell the part of like, when we were in the huddle, and they're like, "Man," I'm like, "Hey, let's trap." And they're looking like, "Nah, that ain't us. Like, let's guard full length. We got it." And I trusted y'all, and y'all trusted in me. So I wouldn't change nothing about that moment.
Yeah.
I don't regret it. Like, I just want to get back and win it this time. You know what I mean? It's just lessons learned. You know what I mean? Like, I would even tell, me and Zoe still joke about it. "Hey, man, 2 more dribbles."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's just like, "Man, here you go." And I'm just like, Nah, it's a real thing. Like I
Yeah.
just had a youth camp last week, and I actually got to stand in the spot where he took the shot from. And the kids was like, "How do you remember this?" I said, "Because I was standing right there by where the bull is, and he could have got 2 more dribbles, and he said it himself." And I'm just like, when you think about it, it's tough, you know. But I think that group kind of forced me to grow up and like look at things through a different lens and coach differently and approach stuff differently. So I don't regret anything about, the transition or the takeover. I just wish we would have won it. You know what I mean? So we could have made our guy proud. I think that would have been the ultimate hug. Like Matt, if you know Matt, like handshake and a hug. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you hungry? Do you need anything? And like the only thing I really wanted to be able to give him was a blue ribbon. So it was tough, but he was the first one to text me after the game. Don't be upset. Don't be mad. You did us proud.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, dude, I lost. And he's like, it ain't about winning and losing. And he was like, you'll find it comforting to realize that like most coaches get in there for the wins and losses. He's like, that's not why I hired you. He's like, I hired you because I figured that you would be next in line to be a head coach. None of my guys around me had head coach aspirations. You had that. And for him to say that to me, it was very fitting and soothing. He told me make sure I get up and go to work the next day. He's like, don't sit at home. He's like, don't call off. He's like, go in school and wear it. That was probably the hardest day of my life, though, the next day. Because everybody's like, oh, I'm sorry. And, just in your face with it. And it's like, I couldn't even talk to people without damn near crying. So it was like, when I realized why he was saying that to me, like, I was at peace with everything, And then unfortunately, he ended up passing, and it just that set us in a whole nother emotional storm. You know what I mean? And I think it was hard on everybody, you know what I mean, to deal with. I think for you guys, it was hard for me. I couldn't imagine what Miss Tracy and the family were, you know what I mean? So it was just it was hard, and after the service, she told me like, hey Darren, like it's okay to move on. Like you got it. Like he left you in charge. He's like, you're good. And so it was fitting, still talk to Miss Tracy to this day, she's doing well, her and the family are. I just don't think I would be in this spot if it wasn't for him. You know what I mean? Like I probably would have got a head coaching job, but I don't think I would have been here. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for him.
When he left and like that season ended, that next year, did you feel a little bit of like, I gotta kind of continue what he did, or you was like, did you feel ease of like, let me implement mine, like let me put Coach D's imprint on South St. Paul, not Coach Matt, because y'all were two different coaches.
For sure,
You know what
it was a little bit of
and
both.
People don't really know that because they didn't really see you behind the scenes. Like even while he was here, your imprint was on our team. You know what I mean?
It was a little bit of both.
So you felt like you could leave your imprint on?
Yeah, because it was like if you look on the wall, like we still got our guy on the wall.
I didn't see that.
You know what I'm saying? Like we
didn't see
still got
that.
our guy on the wall. You know what I mean? Like so he's still around. We still got the rug. Like I haven't touched the rug. Like I haven't had it cleaned. I haven't like that is how he left it. You know what I mean? So it's like there is some stuff that like I still utilize from Matt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there is some stuff that I did go away with and implement on my own. It was hard at first, because it was still so fresh. You got tons of people asking you, well, are you the coach that replaced the coach? Like it's you get them type of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like have some respect. You know what I mean? Like it was hard because you still had to answer those questions. But in all honesty, like Matt's imprint on our program was very big, and I just hope that even though he's resting peacefully, that I continue to make him proud. You know what I mean? Because he was a mentor for sure. Like he gave me the opportunity to grow and to blossom. And when he called me that day, he said, "Hey man, don't fuck it up." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "I'm joking." He's like, "You're gonna be fine." He's like, "You're gonna be okay."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, I'm not ready." He's like, "Yes, you are."
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went in and had the meeting with him and Mr. Sexhour, shout out Chad too, it was really different because it all really started to set in.
Mm-hmm.
So like I still got the original keys and everything. So like this year I'm moving offices. So I told Mr. Ochaki like, "Hey, do you mind if I keep this key?" You know what I mean? Just because it was the key. And he was like, "Yeah, no." Like I said, "No, like permanently. Like you're probably never gonna get this key back from me."
Mm-hmm.
And he laughed at me about it. He was like, "Well, that's something we'll have to discuss." And I'm like, it's non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm gonna keep that key forever. You know, like whenever my time is up here, I'm gonna take the rug with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna leave it here for somebody else to disrespect it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take it with me. You know what I mean? And it'll go up. You know, I still got my tie tied up in a knot that my boy tied for me because I don't know how to tie a tie. Okay, you know what I mean? But Matt was grateful enough and gracious enough to help me out with that, and so I still got the tie. He helped me tie. It's hanging up on my door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is. I've implemented a lot of my own things, but I still carry my guy with me because he was a big part of my coaching career. And my uncle even told me, he's like, "Nephew, it ain't nothing wrong with having respect for somebody who passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Matt gave you a shot, and the fact that you still represent that and carry him with you is why you an honorable dude." And I just wish it was different, but it's life, and I just hope that we continue to make his family proud and we make him proud and eventually win him a state title. You know what I mean? Because he's still around, man. He's still around. Like it's funny because I was telling the kids about the locker room music after the games and stuff, and the group I have now, like they're dressing out. As soon as I'm done talking, oh yeah, we out of here.
Yeah.
Versus, with Matt and like we used to
Yeah.
have a lot of fun after the games in the locker room. But I also think that's a little bit of me, So like my goal, like I sent a text out to my captains. How can I help the team flourish? Like what can I do as the head coach to make sure that you guys are playing mistake-free basketball, confident basketball at a high rate? And I won't share what they said, but it was some good feedback, man. I got some good leaders this year, and I think without this group going through what they've gone through and us all kind of growing up together, like I think I'm more primed for a run now. I think it was hard. We had a couple down years, and it wasn't down because of talent. It was just down because of choices. You know what I mean? Trying to play certain teams when you probably shouldn't have, and just the arrogance of like, man, we are basketball. And so it's been a humbling couple years, and we ready though now. Those little dudes, those seventh and eighth graders who y'all used to see in the pack, ain't seventh and eighth graders no more. Keli's gonna be a sophomore this year. Marco, Dante are juniors. Sincere is a senior. Addison's a senior. Keyshawn is a senior. You know what I mean? It's beautiful to kind of watch them guys grow up. We got a super talented eighth grader who's gonna be a ninth grader. His name is Adonis Williams Jr. Your boy Eb Hooper, real Hooper. Like he got in. He got some minutes this weekend in the breakdown, and he showed me that he's ready. Like I wouldn't say full varsity ready, but he's ready to. Hey, coach, I'm in the gym now. Like I'm in here with y'all now. You know what I mean? Frankie Labor, stud. We got Amari. we got a super talented freshman group that's about to be sophomore. So I'm in a better space mentally, physically, spiritually than I was, I'd say, 2 years ago. Just kind of dealing with, just the direction the program is going in and the direction for me, and just questioning, like, is this like what I really want to do? Like, some days you wake up with those questions, and just talking to people, talking to my peers, other coaches and stuff, and that kind of just made me realize, like, bro, you in this spot for a reason. Like, you one of the first ones out of us to, like, make it. There's some dudes who been coaching 30 years and they've never been a head coach. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just want to utilize my time here while I still have some to kind of enjoy it and to just coach freely. And I think Brady does a good job of keeping me humble, and keeping me on track and making sure I'm not too high or too low. He understands the group that we have. He understands the dynamic. So I'm ready to make some noise again. We back to what it was. So be on the lookout for sure.
You got your AAU program, Family First. It's a lot of most of your kids come from the inner city, right? And unfortunately, from in our community, we don't not all of us have father figures in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Kids from the community, inner cities. Do you feel like a lot of kids, because you coach young kids, do you feel like a lot of them have came to you and kind of gravitated towards you, like that father figure in my life? Have you felt that at all?
I can't say yes or no to that, just because in this coaching stuff, there's time away from your kids that you don't get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just hope to be a better parent now that I understand the coaching mechanism. When you locked in on coaching, you don't realize how much you're taking away from your kids. You know what I mean? So it's very hard at times to be that, and you can't even be that for your own son or daughter. You know what I mean? Full time, or like, it's just, yay. I think, but I don't. I also know that some of these kids, like, once you get to a point to where you, like, 13, 14, 15, you kind of start to realize, like, you ain't my dad. I ain't got to listen to you. And it's more or less of, like, the advice you got at 10, 11, 12 is the same advice. I'm just growing up. So now that father figure might become somebody who you think, like, oh, you don't want the best for me. You hating, and you ain't supporting me. But it's like, man, I got my own shorty I could be raising full time. And I spend more time with you throughout the week than I do my own kids. And, like, so it's coaching is very, like, it's rewarding and it's unrewarding. And I think the father figure label, I think it gets thrown around, but it's also like, some of these kids ain't looking for father figures. Like, this is just their outlet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they ain't looking for you to be their dad. They just want you to coach, help them through stuff, and be supportive. You know what I mean? And I think I learned that, I'd say, my second year here. And you can attest to this. And it's like, I don't know where we was at, and I won't say the athlete's name, but we was in the locker room. I'm like, bro, you playing soft. Like, wake up.
I know where it is.
You yelling at me. You not my dad.
I know where it is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to be your dad. I just want to push you to want more.
Yeah.
But even in that, it's like, I got my own son who I could be around, and I shouldn't have to listen to that.
Yeah.
But what comes in that and what comes with this is, like, you do get some kids who have grown up without a father, and it's unfortunate. You know what I mean? All you can do is really be there to support them, support them through their endeavors. And I think through the program growing up, I got to watch a lot of those kids grow up, because they all ended up here.
Yeah.
Majority of them ended up here. So it was like, to see it and, like, oh man, like Keon.
Mhm.
That's one of my favorite kids of all time.
Mhm.
Just because he didn't let his circumstance push him to like hate the males around him. You know, his mom, hardworking lady, grandma was great, family was great. You
Mhm.
know, he got to high school though, and it was like we old heads,
Mhm.
and I'm like, dude, like I ain't that much older than you. Now you an old head.
Mhm.
And then when he graduated, he came back. We had a conversation of more or less like, what are you doing? Like, where is this going? And he kind of told me like, man, this is what my focus is right now, and I need y'all to respect that. I need y'all to respect that. I think just as somebody who's known him, he wasn't disrespecting his OGs. He was letting us know that I'm good. I paid attention enough to understand like the world is cold and it ain't gonna love you back sometimes, but regardless, I'm good, and I think like who else? Um a kid like Sean,
Mhm.
who shout out to Sean too, man. Shout out to Sean, man. Like he needed that, but at the same time, he was like, yeah, nah, man, I'm good.
Mhm.
Because, it's like you growing up now. You ain't 12, 11, you 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So you growing and you developing your own vision of what you want the man to look like. You know what I mean? And I think for a lot of y'all, like, you look at who is like your coach or your mentor. If you don't have that, and you want them to like you wanted to envision that,
Mhm.
but at the same time, like a lot of us ain't perfect. We take away from our own families and our own kids, and that it's hurtful at times. You know what I mean? Like very hurtful.
Mhm.
So like I think when you look for the father figure, I think you just look to the male who best represents what you want your dad to be if your dad isn't,
Mhm.
around or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like I think for a lot of y'all, it's whatever picture you paint.
Mhm.
Whatever picture we allow the families to paint. And I think for like the kids who I have now, a lot of them have dads who are active. Very active. So
Mhm.
it's like,
Too active. Too active.
hey man, look, when I look at it this way, when it comes to your kid, you gotta
Yeah.
be. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that their path is as smooth as possible.
Mhm.
So it is what it is. Like I just wish it was more of coaching is a thankless job.
Mhm.
It's very thankless. Like it's the kids might say thank you, but how many parents will actually thank you? And
Mhm.
I think for you know, and I would say like the inner city community, you're probably not gonna hear a lot of thank yous.
Mhm.
Hey, we appreciate you, coach. Versus when I come to see you guys, I always hear the parents tell you thank you. I always, hey man, Hafit, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Mhm.
One of the parents is even like, hey man, Hafid's doing a good job. Like, you should be really proud of him. But what did I always tell you? I
Mhm.
said, just because you didn't play didn't mean you didn't understand.
Mhm.
And I think now, as a coach, I think you see like if you have too much talent on a team,
Mhm.
like it's way harder to handle than having 8 dudes who just want to show up with their friends and play.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't understand that. So it's
Mhm.
like if ain't nobody told you, thank you, thank you. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because you deserve it.
Yeah.
Because I see how hard you work with the kids. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I know that you can share a lot of your experiences with them,
Mhm.
so that they're very fortunate to have you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because you're not a parent.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You're a young dude who's giving his time,
Mhm.
and that means a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I could tell with some of the kids you've coached, okay, they've been around Hafit. Like you can tell when they've been around somebody who understands like our way of basketball, and like it's very refreshing. So thank you.
I appreciate that, bro. Have you lost kids in this? Like kids passed away that you've coached, and like
Yeah, for
how's
sure.
that? How do you deal with it? You've seen these kids grow up,
I mean, honestly, like everybody got a start date and an end date. Unfortunately, I think to lose a kid is very hard emotionally, because you don't want a kid to succumb to the streets or to succumb to violence or to pass with health issues or any of that. Man, you want perfect health and life for these kids, but that's not always the plan, unfortunately. So I think losing a kid is very hard. Losing a kid you coached is very hard. I think for when a parent loses a kid, you you're subjected to the, oh man, like I feel so bad for you, like, but in all actuality, like my condolences and prayers is really all you can really say, because when you go to somebody who just lost their kid, you're like, man, I can't imagine what you're going through. Like just those words, like some people don't know how to take it, and like I had a young man who passed away. He was killed due to gun violence, and you know his dad unfortunately thought that it was something more than what it was. So he was calling me at 2, 3 in the morning. And it was very bothersome. But I had to understand this man just lost his son. Even though like what he was saying wasn't true, but it was just like, hey man, like you like be careful with how you translate that energy to other people, and when we seen each other, it was hugs. Hey man, I'm sorry, man, I shouldn't have called you on that. But it was also painful for me to deal with because I could hear the pain in his voice. You know what I mean? And it never allowed me to disrespect him. It was just, hey man, like I can't say I understand what you're going through because I don't. But at the end of the day, your stuff you're saying ain't true at all. You know what I mean? Like, and so to lose a kid is very hurtful. To lose a kid to even to committing a crime is hurtful. You know what I mean? So it goes tenfold, man. Like it's painful either way, and I've experienced both.
Yeah. What's success for Coach D as a coach? Is it winning a lot? Like how do you define success as a coach?
It depends on which Coach D you're asking. Because if you're asking the young me, it was about dubs.
Yeah.
And letting everybody know that like we run this.
Let's say future Coach D.
When
you're wrapping it all up.
I say wrapping it up now is just making sure that the kids understand that, this is a process, and if you don't trust it and respect it, it won't respect you. Plain and simple. If I'm chasing greatness, I have to make sure that I'm great at all times. If there's one day where I feel like, oh man, I don't want to go, I'm not standing on my pack of chasing greatness because I'm choosing to not go. And I think going through that with Matt, like he always challenged us to be there every day.
He was always here early. I'm thinking I remember me and Marquise, we used to talk on the call rides, and we'd be like, we're gonna be here. Say practice at 8:30 a.m. Saturday practices, right? It was at 10. We like, let's get here at 9.
Matt's
He's
here
in
at
there
8.
walking around, getting his steps in.
Because that's what he did.
How?
That's what he did.
It's the love for it.
It was the love, and it was also he never played about them steps. He never played about them steps. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, inside track?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to come here and get my steps, and then we going to tear y'all up in practice. And I think for me, coming from Johnson, where my uncle and them were over there, shout out my Uncle C too, and Tone and Smurf and all, the staff over there, B-Bill, Zig, all y'all boys. We didn't operate on, like, we going at this time, but show up at this time. We operated on, hey, right after school, everybody in the gym, lock in. Saturday, hey, coaches, kids need rides or whatever. Make sure they picked up, lock in. When I got here, I didn't have to do none of that. Like it was kind of almost like culture shock a little bit because Matt did everything, everything. Like he just wanted us to focus on basketball, And at Johnson, the focus was basketball, but I was like the freshman coach, so we was on the lower levels. Me and my boy Didi and Raji too. Raji was over there with me, and it was just like we had the young pup, so I didn't know what the full experience was. Like I sat on the varsity bench over there. I had input in the games. You know what I mean? Like I was I had dialogue with the other coaches as a coach. They asked my thought process. But when it came to coming here, I asked my uncle, like, what do I do? And his words flat out was, nephew, go be great. He's like, ain't no room for you to grow here. Go ahead. We're gonna support you. We're gonna love you. You part of the tree. Go ahead. And when I ended up taking over as the head coach, I called my uncle first and I said, hey man, they just hired me as the head coach. He said, what? I said, yeah. He said, now you know what that means, right? He said, you gotta be the first one and the last one to leave. All them days of you not doing no laundry, them days are over. All them days of you thinking, oh, I can leave early because the head coach. He's like, them days are over. But I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Then I called my man's Rome, and he was shocked, like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, well, you know what that means. You better lock in.
Yeah.
So I think like the transition from Johnson to here was seamless. Matt made it easy. But it was also like I was accustomed to doing things one way, and I had to learn how to do them another way.
Yeah.
And I think what has made me able to survive is I've been able to mesh them both in. And like now, it's like we have some leeway. So like the 6 a.m. practices in the morning, most of the kids are here by 5:40 because they know. You have your stragglers, you know what I mean? Like you'll have your twos and fews, but Gavin used to be here sleep in the parking lot. Shout out G, man, because he used to be sleeping in the parking lot with no issue, but he'd show up. I just think the totality of it all is I'm only gonna go as far as my mind and my physique take me. If my mind doesn't flourish, if my mind doesn't grow, then my body and everything else can. And I think as a young coach, like my mentality was different. I was more focused on winning. And I think when you get to the high school part, it's not so much about winning. It's about the X's and O's. It's about how you run your program. It's about what you do in the program to keep the program successful. And I think for me, my presence is academics. I care more about academics than I do anything else. That's why every year continually we have kids 3.0, 3.4, 3.5, 3.6. Gavin was academic all state. You know what I mean? We had out of 64 kids in the program, 48 of them were all academic this year. That number continues to go up every year. And that is the focal point for me. Like off the court is, hey, when I talk to a school, first thing they ask, what's his grades like? Well, he's a 2-3 student. That ain't good enough. I know he's working though. Hey, he's a 3.0 student. What's his attendance like? He's around. He's good. Oh, he's a 3.8 student. Like Gavin. Gavin was an easy sell. He's a 4.0 student. He's never late. He never misses. He's an academic weapon. And he can just so happen he hoops. That's before you get to the basketball. You know what I mean? Now we talk basketball, he's up at 4 a.m. working on his game before he goes to the gym. You know what I mean? 5 a.m., 5:30ish, he's in the gym. 7 o'clock, by 7:30, 7:40, we're in school. You know what I mean? So now like that translates to college. You know what I mean? So it's like for him now, he's out at Long Island, and he was just here for the youth camp, and his regimen is still the same. He just now has 24-hour access to a gym. So nothing changes. It's just the time zone he lives in and where he's going to get to work at. That's the only thing that really changes. Jordan Terhune, he's out at South Carolina Upstate. Another one, academic weapon. You know what I mean? This is all before he gets to school. This is before the hoop. You know what I mean? Zoda could hoop, but everybody automatically assumed that he was like a subpar student. Zoda was an academic weapon. We all knew that. The teachers hated it. Oh, he's not here on time. He's not doing this and da 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 da. Straight A's and B's. What do you want from him? You know what I mean? So it's like it's all about your preference and what you want. Like if you want this, you gonna work for it. Because if you don't, it ain't coming. And that's not hate. That's actually like the truth. And like most people can't accept it. It's super hard to accept because it comes off as negative, but it's like, and you could ask any of these other guys who you're going to interview in this process, ask them if their college coach cared. Oh, you late? Oh, you missed? You're done.
They got a guy waiting for you.
You know what I'm saying?
They got a bunch more of you that's around as well.
Gavin just told me they started the year with 15 and ended the year with 9.
Just quit. Couldn't handle
academics, couldn't handle it. Like it was a plethora of things. So it's like you choose. Are you going to be an academic weapon and an athlete, or are you just going to be an athlete? And most of the time, that stuff don't pan out.
It really can't choose. It's a title, student athlete. But what comes first?
Student. Most of the kids nowadays,
you can't really choose.
Most of the kids nowadays, they don't understand it because there's a microwave process. You know, it's like, oh, I can jump from here to here. All I got to do is be this and that, and all you got to do is have 1,000, 5,000 likes or whatever, and you're the guy, which I think is not cool, but you know. So,
yeah. These are my final questions. First one, you feel like at your age now, you feel like you found your life's purpose?
I would say yes. And I think realistically, the purpose is just to impact as many people as possible in a positive light. You know, I still got guys who come in, they check in with me from years ago and, hey man, coach, you my guy, man. You my favorite guy. Dorian Singer, he plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars now. I coached him in youth league and he'll call me, hey coach, I still can outshoot you. No, you can't. Like we know what that really is. But I think just the impact that I've had on, you know, you, others is, you know, my life purpose. I don't think it's in a negative light. I think it's actually in a very positive light because sometimes your life purpose can take you down a dark path. And mine has been able to be steered off of a dark path, you know, versus if I didn't coach my brother's team, who knows what I would have been doing, you know what I mean? So I think like just where I'm at now and like just thinking about it, you know, I think I found my purpose for sure.
You feel like you get told that? I don't want to say enough because that's not really for you to decide. Like people coming up to you, like every time I see you, I try to give you something. All right, I try to let you know.
My loved ones, yes.
Do you feel like you feel
my
that?
loved ones, yes. But the people who don't know me, I can't really worry about that.
Yeah,
because you don't know me. You know,
you can't make everybody happy.
Can't make everybody happy. You know, like for the ones who don't know me beyond just being the basketball coach, you're never gonna know my true impact because all you see is a basketball coach. But if you see me walk the halls every day, then you'll understand. You know what I mean? How many kids in here are like, hey man, Coach D, how many grad party invites I get, how many hugs and pictures I have to take at graduation because there's so many kids, even if it's in a small light, that I've impacted, and that to me is the ultimate end goal, is to kind of just make sure that, like, hey, this all worked out.
Mm-hmm.
It worked for the best. All you guys are doing what you're supposed to do. I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want success for everybody who I cross paths with? Yes. Is that always going to be the end all be all? Probably not. But, as long as you put it out there, you speak it into fruition for them, and you manifest it, everything else will work itself out.
Okay. Second one. If everyone you've ever met was in a room, who would you approach first?
If everyone I ever met was in a room,
who would you approach first?
my grandma.
She with us?
Nah, she not. But
what's the conversation?
I miss you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get some piece of hot dish? I love you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Because she used to drive me around. Like, most people don't know, I played hockey growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't even play basketball.
Yeah.
My grandma was right there, though, driving me to everything, like making sure I had what I needed. And it was, we had a really like weird but like fruitful relationship. Like, she was really, really hard on me.
Mm-hmm.
But I understood why, because, when it was time for me to go and be out on my own, I was able to survive. So it'd probably be my grandma for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I know if I don't, even in that room, dead or alive, I'd probably be getting yelled at for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of who's in there, famous or not. She do not care. Grandma Ruby definitely for sure.
Mm-hmm. This might be the same answer, but dinner with anybody, dead or alive.
Dinner with anybody? I would say for sure my dad.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Just because he passed away in January, and I actually got the call in the middle of practice.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very hard for me and for the kids to see me vulnerable like that, because it everything in me shut down. But it would just be to like, hey man, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for whatever time we did have, like, I'm grateful and thankful for it. And just to see how he's doing, and just to ask if he's okay, and to kind of pick his mind, see what the other end is like, because we all want to know,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? But it's like, it would probably be my dad for sure.
Mm-hmm. This one, low-key, just to get you in trouble, I ain't gonna lie. Who's your favorite player you've ever coached? If you have one.
Ever?
You've ever coached? Favorite kid you've ever coached?
Everybody already gone. This ain't gonna get me in trouble because everybody already knows. I don't have one, because I think all collectively, and I say this to anybody who knows that Family First group, if that Family First group would have went to one school, they would have won a state title with Antoine Kimmons, Ronell Porter. But I would probably say Antoine, just because to watch his growth to where he came from to where he is now, nobody's seen it coming. They just seen the athletic ability, you know what I mean? And I think for him, like, just to be living his dreams, doing what he's doing, taking care of his daughter. He just recently graduated from Concordia University. Now he's back in school. It's a beautiful thing, man. So I'd probably say him for sure.
You have to quit one of them, and you can only do one for the rest. Coaching basketball or football?
Easy. Basketball.
Basketball?
Yeah. I played football. Them days, like, I enjoy coaching it because I'm a football player at heart, but I absolutely love coaching basketball. Like, without a doubt. Like, not even close.
I thought it would be closer. How about this the last one. What's Coach D's favorite thing about himself?
See, I don't think about stuff like that. I would probably say just my ability to
Keep going.
Yeah,
Laser focus.
I have to be.
Mm-hmm.
One mishap and I'm tricked out my spot.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't stay locked in, none of this stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd say my focus on just keeping my blinders on and not really having to worry about what's going on left or right. Now I do have to stop sometimes to look at my family because I want to make sure that you're not in my rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my family is not in my rearview mirror, but you know, I just want to make sure that like where I'm going, I need to make sure that everybody with me is on pace to get there at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to get there 5 years before somebody.
Yeah.
I want us all to get there at the same time and achieve happiness and success all at the same time. Because that's really what it's about. If you ain't got nobody to enjoy it with,
Mm-hmm.
it's purposeless. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So it's like, now I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I ain't seen nobody ask no question yet. What made you want to start going into the interview and editing business, like as far as like getting other people's views? Like I seen you interview Keon.
Yeah.
I seen you had Amari on there. Shout out to Amari too.
Mm-hmm.
That's really my boy though.
Mm-hmm.
Like for real. You know. But like what made you want to dive into this alley?
Yeah. Nobody else has me asked me like any questions, but I think it's like how I've been all my life. Like I've always been interested in other people,
Right.
and when I know like a lot, I have friends that when they see someone doing something that's like they call it weird, they call it, and I've always looked at it like, man, I don't even know that person. Like I've always just understood that there's people have different walks of life than me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've always been interested in it though. It's not like that's the wrong walk of life. I just have my walk of life,
Yeah,
and it fits me. I feel like Coach D got his walk of life. There's things you do in your life I'll never do,
for sure.
but and I don't look at it as like I'm right and you're wrong.
Right.
I'm just kind of interested in it, and I think this is for me like that's probably a gift of mine.
Yeah.
Is that understanding people and actually listening and hearing people out. So I think that's just kind of why I figured out that was kind of my gift is being able to do that, and this is kind of the way I want to do it. I want to be able to sit with people from all different walks of life, different genres of anything. I want to eventually do musicians. I want to eventually do other athletes, obviously. People who I've never, like I want to do psychologists. People who I've never like live your life. I just want to hear your view from.
That's what makes you an amazing person. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's because, and you've always been like this, and I've always told you, stop being like this. Everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
What about Hafit?
Mm-hmm.
And now you really on Hafit's time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like you doing what Hafit wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's beautiful, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like for real, man. I wish you nothing but success in all your future endeavors, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I don't know if you remember this, but sophomore year, you coached me, right? And
Yep.
you told me, and when I listened, I'm not who I am now. Like when I was then, but you told me something, and you said it like in a way that it made sense like now. But at that time, and then you was like you just said, you was like, bro, you're not aggressive enough. Like you too worried about doing stuff for other people. I was like, he said I'm just passing too much because that's my specialty.
Yeah.
I'm a passer.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, he want me to just go get a bucket. So that's how I took it. And I think he told me again, like at the end of the year, he was like, no, it was the next year because I'm trying to get some minutes on varsity, and you started to do something for yourself, and I was like, and it took me later on in life to really realize like I can still be who I am because that's just who I am. It's ingrained in me to just think about others. You got to also do right for yourself.
That's why you're so protected, though, is because nobody really knows like what you went through.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
In a loaded class,
Mm-hmm.
transfer after transfer, and you never faltered. Like you never wavered. You never was like, I quit on y'all. Y'all ain't y'all. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And that like, dude, it was such a beautiful thing, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wish a lot of my kids now had that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something that's rare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
For real, bro. Like,
my travel team that we had in South St. Paul when I was here. my 7th grade year is my last year of travel. The kids I played with, you coached some of them for a little bit.
Yeah.
Jaden Bar, our starting lineup was Brandon, Bodie, Michael Dam, Mikey. Our bench was Jaden Ibarra.
My whole JV team.
All of them. In my last year, I didn't play with a single one of them.
Cause where they
They all was done. And that was like, when I looked at who, that was like my friend group too. And it switched. It became that basketball team. It became Keon, came Zoe.
Because everybody's paths was different.
Yeah.
Everybody's trajectories was going in different directions. You know what I mean? Like, so that that's just kind of how it is, and you got to be able to like live with it. You know what I mean, and not like falter over it. Like so, like, at least you can look back. You can realize like, damn, y'all still my homies, but I ain't hoop with none of y'all. You know, and it was. I think Michael Dam's a vet now. You know, I would love to see what Bodie's doing right now. Is he still going to the U?
Wait, is he at the U? I
I'm
thought he was
pretty
at
sure.
Iowa. Yeah, he might be at the U.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's at the U. Big Mikey, you know. So it's like my boy B Dot.
Yeah.
I just seen B Dot, man. That's my boy, man. He just was up here.
Yeah.
I seen him at the girls' flag football games, and you know, like we still hug. Hey, man, Coach love you, man. Like we still show love to each other because he understands like I was part of his process. You know what I mean? So, man, thank you for having me. You already know, man. You welcome here anytime. You know, if there's anything we can ever do, just let me know.
Thanks so much, bro.
Oh, man. Appreciate you.
Sir. Coach D.
Yes, sir. Come check us out too, man.